Well, I'm really delighted to welcome to Island Life Howard Parkin from Astromanx. How have you been doing, looking at the skies and with your telescopes? You go on amazing journeys around the world telling
Indeed.
people about what to look up there. So we're hopefully going to have a series here talking about this. And a little bit about you, though, in this interview, really. I mean, when did this all start for you?
Well, I can actually pin it down to an exact date, exactly 60 years ago.
Go on.
I was outside, I was living in Liverpool at the time, and I was playing football with my friends in the road, as one did those days, in Mossley Hill in Liverpool. And my mum came outside and said, boys, come inside, come inside. There's a man on the television who's just been into space. And I thought, wow, this is an 8-year-old boy. Guy who's been into space. So we went in. It was about the 14th of April, 2 days after he came back. Yuri Gagarin, of course. And that was like 60 years ago this year. And that just absolutely blew me away as a young 8-year-old boy. You know, can you imagine, you know, the awe and the fascination of that? And that's how my interest started. It started in spaceflight, and it grew to astronomy. I then went to college, learned to be a teacher, met my wife, had a family and all the rest, and it waned somewhat. I didn't do anything with it whatsoever. But then in 1985, I went along to the Isle of Man College and said, is there any chance I could start teaching night school? I would love to teach something like astronomy. And I started doing it in 1985 and I've been doing it ever since. Since then, the Astronomical Society was found. I worked for Manx National Heritage and did some astronomy lectures for them. I also set up my own company, Astromanx. And then I got involved in lecturing on cruise ships as well. So
I was coming to that bit, because you literally can go around the world and...
I do.
Is it about the Manx, particularly sky,
no,
or is it more generalised?
It's about astronomy.
Where you're going and...
Yeah, it's basically what you can see from that location, what's in the sky, what's particularly at that particular time. I do a lot of lectures about space as well. I mean, one of the ships I do, the Viking Orion, and actually the initial Viking resident astronomer, and I do 2 iconic lectures for them, one on the origins of the cosmos and all that sort of stuff, and the other one on the history of NASA. And they're great, and I really enjoy doing them, and I meet some fascinating people. But the best one I get is when an American comes up to you and says, gee, Mr. Parkin, which space shuttle mission were you on? Well, actually, I wasn't.
Well, we were fifth likely to go back to the moon, weren't we, at one stage?
We were, at one point, we were the 5th most likely nation to return to the moon, and that was back in about 2007, and that wasn't just the Isle of Man boasting it. It was actually a real boast because of the investment that people are making in the island's infrastructure.
To look at the sky at night, do you have to obviously have your own telescope?
I do indeed.
And people will need that to take all this in, or they can just...
No, I'm glad you mentioned that at the beginning, because one thing I actually prefer and love doing what we call naked eye astronomy. And that's what I do on the cruise ships, because of course, although there are telescopes on the ships, they don't work very well because the ships are moving too much. But naked eye astronomy is just the ability to go outside, look up at the sky and have a little bit of an understanding of what it is you're looking at. And if that interests you and if that fascinates you, then obviously you can develop them to binoculars and then maybe to a telescope, joining the society, getting other books and magazines and so on. We've been doing astronomy with a naked eye right through till 1609 when the telescope was invented. So once telescopes were invented, and obviously that means you can see far more, but to me the fascination is to go outside and see the night sky. And you mentioned earlier about what's so special about the Manx skies. Is it different? It is different because our skies are so clear. We have great dark skies. We have got 26 acclaimed dark sky discovery sites on the Isle of Man. And I started my astronomy in Liverpool all those many years ago, and we couldn't see the fainter stars. You could only see the bright stars. This is 60 years ago. Even then the light pollution was bad. It is useful, a light polluted sky, to identify the principal stars. Because when you then see the sky in all its glory, when it's very dark, you can't even see the bright stars. Everything just is a mass of stars. And I remember vividly, again a Manx connection, I remember vividly coming on holiday to Ramsey, and we stayed at the White Bridge up at Ramsey and near the river there, and I remember looking up at the night sky. I brought my telescope with me, and it was just breathtaking, and I've been fascinated ever since, apart from that bit of a lull when I had the family and all the rest. But then since I've been teaching at the college, I've been doing it more and more and more. I'm becoming known for it more and more, and I just love it, and I love just talking about it to people.
What's the weird thing? I don't think is you're looking up there. It's a time machine, isn't it? Because you're looking at the past, things that happened millions of years ago.
Yeah.
And finally, the light gets to the island.
Classic example of that is the constellation Orion. Now, most people who know anything about astronomy at all, they know the Plough and they know Orion. And Orion has got 2 wonderful stars in it. One's called Betelgeuse, one's called Rigel. Betelgeuse is about 500 or 600 light years away. Now, a light year, for those who don't know, is how far light travels in 1 year. 1,860 miles in a second, multiplied by 60 by 60 by 24 by 365.
But it's so slow, doesn't it?
Exactly.
Isn't it?
And that's
In their
500 of those away.
Wow.
That's Betelgeuse. So the light from Betelgeuse is reaching us after 500, 600 years. The light from that's the top left of Orion. The bottom right of Orion is the star Rigel. And the star Rigel is about 900 light years away. And it's even brighter. And that star is, as I say, 900 light years away. It's one of the brightest stars in the sky. And what we do in astronomy, we actually take all the stars and mathematically we place them all the same distance away. 32.6 light years away, which is 10 parsecs, never mind the details. And if we do that, the sun would hardly be visible, and Rigel will be so bright, it'll be almost as bright as the full moon. And this is the sort of stuff you can do, the wow factor, which fascinates people. But forget the technical stuff. Just go outside, look up at the night sky, and enjoy for yourself, and have a thought about what you're looking at.
Well, I won't be back in here. I'll be leaving it all to you because I can see what they say. You wind you up and off you go. It's brilliant. I can imagine you're on a cruise line. You have to do an hour or something and talk. Is it? Like
it's usually 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Actually, that's a joke. It's 45 minutes, and if you're over 45 minutes, you're off.
Is that for people to get to the next event?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, wow. So it really focuses the mind on not less than 45, but not more. Right? So you really got to be 43 to 47.
Okay, and we'll be starting with, I presume, what will be May, right?
The May sky.
Okay, look out for that here on islandlife.im.